I'm very excited that you're working probably right now on your bridges, and we wanted to give you and send you some short videos with tips to make sure you do things right. By now you should have already drawn your bridges on paper and started maybe cutting pieces of balsa to size. I wanted to show an image of an old bridge that we had, and if you look closely in here, this is one of the gusset plates at the top of the bridge, showing how all the different members came together. If I rotate this bridge around so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is a gusset plate. This would have been the bottom side that's in contact with the paper, and the bridge would have been lying down like this. And there is how all the members came together, connected all together at the gusset plate. And notice here, the top of the bridge was connected using these bracings so that you make sure the whole 3D system works together instead of individual trusses. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this bridge around and look at the floor. This is not a good example of the floor where they cut the pieces and run them horizontally. You should be running your pieces of the floor along the length of the bridge. So Aaron here is going to demonstrate. So if to do this right, please do not cut these pieces. You're allowed to have these long. So run your pieces of balsa for the floor like that. And so put them side by side to get the width of the bridge. You could use two of them with a gap in between, like the examples we've shown in the video. Or if you want to fill in the gap, you can use more than two pieces. But again, these pieces are 36 inches and should be enough, one piece to run the full length of the bridge. Now I'm going to turn this bridge around and show you how the floor beam connects to the trusses. So this is the bridge flipped upside down. This bridge was constructed with a floor. Again, the floor is not running the correct way. A floor, the stringers, and then floor beams. You might not need the stringers. This team needed stringers because their floor beams are so far apart, so the truck will go through the floor if they did not put these stringers. In your case, especially using the floor material running along the length of the bridge, a continuous piece, you might only need floor beams, and you might need bracings diagonally to support the floors. But I want to highlight, as I said in the two videos that you already watched, this point is the most important point. The most important joint in your bridge is how the floor beams connect to the truss. So if you look closely, you'll see that this bridge was built with the floor beam extending beyond the floor. So it's about 1/2 inch, and it might not be 1/2 inch for you, could be more, could be less. So the floor beam extended beyond the floor, so you can actually connect it to the gusset plate at the bottom of your, or at the floor level of your bridge, or the truss of the bridge. And notice this team knew that's happening, so as they were putting their joint together, they actually left a gap for the floor beam to come in contact with the gusset plate. And some of the things you might want to do is use some of your scrap wood to actually enforce or reinforce your floor beam connection to the gusset plate. So you could maybe add another short piece like that to connect the floor beam and to make the connection between the floor beam and the truss stronger. And maybe you can add things on the sides like that. But basically have all of that in mind as you're designing your bridge. I'm going to look on the other end of the same floor beam and show you how this connection could fail. So if you don't do things right, you will see your truck driving and your whole floor falls, the truck falls through together with the floor while the trusses are still standing. That would happen if you have a weak connection like this team. This side of the connection was not done perfect. How the connection is not established very well, so that joint got broken. And again, but I want to pull it apart to show you how the thought process when they were building this truss, they left enough gap for the floor beam to be stuck in there and glued and reinforced to make sure you have a strong connection. Again, this is your nightmare is if you don't do this connection correctly. Make sure you do all your connection perfectly, especially the connection between the floor beam and the truss. And I hope you enjoyed it.